Hello and welcome to this episode of PRSay. I'm your host, Veronica Sofer. I have the pleasure of bringing amazing members of our Houston chapter of Public Relations Society of America to you to get to know, to get to connect, and make sure that you are putting a name with with a face, especially when we are out and about at our different membership events. So if you are joining us for the first time, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of PRSay. And if you are watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, drop us some comments because my guests and I love to connect with members who are new to the chapter or who are wanting to build that network. So let's go ahead and get this episode started. I have the amazing Anh Nguyen joining us. Welcome, Anh.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's really, truly an honor, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, I'm so glad. So, Anh, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'd love to get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely. I am first generation Vietnamese immigrant. In fact, my family and I immigrated here in 1975, and that's a huge part of my story, and I'm bringing it more to the forefront. I'm a marketer, and I've been a marketer now for, worked for myself for over 10 years now, but I've been in the advertising marketing arena for over 25. When I say that, I go, oh gosh, wow. That
was fast.
Right? It's so long ago. And I've seen the evolution of marketing towards online and digital efforts, and I love it. I'm here for it. And recently, probably within the last year, I've had a little bit of a professional crossroads, if you will. I don't want to call it a midlife crisis, but I love what I do, but I wanted to be able to help make an impact of some kind in the world. I'd historically mostly worked with B2B brands. But after some, introspection and thought, I really wanted to move forward and still use the skills and experience that I have serving and supporting purpose-driven brands, social impact ventures, and nonprofit organizations, which brings me to our conversation today.
Yeah. Perfect segue. I love that. And I think that some of us get to that crossroads sooner than others, but eventually as storytellers and as marketers and communication professionals, we all get there. So I love that you were like, yeah, I'm owning it. This is what's next for me. I'm doing it. So yeah, tell us what you're up to. That's so exciting.
Absolutely. And I feel really excited and happy about it. I mean, for a while, and I think many marketers and Marcom professionals can understand when I say, I felt like I was just going through the motions. Like I was serving my clients, I was going through the motions, I was still doing it, but it just wasn't sparking any kind of creativity in me or joy. And now I feel like moving this purpose and focusing on this segment or group of clients has really made me be happy about what I do again. And so it's really a great start to the new year.
Oh, that's fabulous. So yeah. So tell me a little bit about what that looks like when people talk about purpose-driven work, especially the creativity, other than how it makes you feel. What does it look like for a professional who is transitioning from a more corporate background or an agency background into this kind of work?
Absolutely. I do want to share that purpose-driven can be a for-profit brand as well. It isn't necessarily a nonprofit organization. I think oftentimes when people hear those terms, they think, oh, it's a nonprofit. It's somebody who's not making money. But you can be a for-profit brand and be purpose-driven. And that's what it looks like. I'm looking for a client who is looking to make an impact in the world with their product, their solution, their movement, if you will. Think about, for example, Tom's. Everybody's familiar with the Tom shoe brand, and they have always, from the get-go, had a purpose to help share their product with the world. You buy a pair, they give a pair. So it's beyond just making a profit. It's actually helping to make an impact in the world. And that's what purpose-driven means to me. And so I wanted to definitely start off with that in the conversation so that it's not just nonprofits. Everybody can be a purpose-driven brand and make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And giving yourself permission to do that, no matter the size of your organization. So I think that's a really great reminder. So tell us about when you're looking for an ideal project or client now in this phase of your career, this season of your career, what draws you to what that organization is doing? Are you more focused on environmental? Are you more focused on how it impacts certain communities? What for you, Anne, what is it?
That's a great question. And I, because at this point in my career, I'm fortunate enough to be a little bit more picky about who I work with, and I want to be able to work with a client whose values align with mine. I know that's such a buzzword, right? People talk about the values aligning with one another, but I truly mean it. I want to. So for me, a lot of things that are very important is education, specifically.
Mhm.
Education for girls and young women, because I think about growing up in high school and during that time. I grew up in the
Mhm.
80s. There were not a lot of opportunities for girls and young women to explore career opportunities. At that time it was, oh, go be a nurse, go be a secretary, go, these traditional gender roles in the past.
Mhm.
So that's very important to me. So I'd love to work with an organization that supports those initiatives. I also love animals. Animal welfare is very important to me. And so those are the kinds of brands I would love to try to find to work with. But I wanted to share too why purpose-driven marketing is so important and why it has made me so happy to be able to
Yeah.
make this shift. Because if you think about the shift of consumers nowadays to aligning themselves or buying from a brand that stands for something is very important to a lot of consumers nowadays. And if you think about that environment as a marketer, as a brand, it's really time for many brands to go ahead and take that stand.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I think no matter where you are on the political spectrum, everyone's watching, everyone's got an opinion, and we're at a point, and I think in our society where people want to know, where are you? I have power in spending my dollar or donating my dollar. I want to know from you where you stand. So I think that that's really relevant. And it seems to me like a natural fit
Yeah.
into a marketing strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Because as brands, we talk about, or as marketers, we talk about humanizing your brand. Well, what better way to humanize a brand than to stand for something so that your consumers know what you stand for? It aligns with what their values are. Then they know that they can trust and they want to support your brand. And whether it's a political issue or a social issue, I know there's such a political divide, right? And people think in terms that way, but it's not necessarily just politically.
Mhm.
It is a social issue, as you mentioned, the environment or animal welfare or education for children around the world. Whatever it is that is important to you, there's a brand out there that you can find that aligns with that value and that you want to purchase from.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Okay, shifting gears just a little bit. Talk to me about your involvement in professional networking organizations. Obviously, you're a member of PRSA Houston chapter. What's the type of value and that you find being involved, especially at this point in your career, in organizations that are really hyper focused?
Absolutely. It's the connection. I know, again, many people say that, but it truly is the connection. And especially in Houston, for being such a large, diverse metroplex, the Marcom community is small.
Yeah,
Everyone is
yeah,
connected and knows one another. And it's not only an opportunity to develop professionally through webinars and learning opportunities, but the connection is what's most valuable, is finding others who can collaborate with you, who could mentor you, who could support you. And so, having that benefit with PRSA or with any other business organization is absolutely invaluable.
yeah, for sure. And do you get an opportunity to participate in more of the digital events that are happening with the webinars, or do you find yourself trying to attend some of the in-person events? What works for you at this point in your career?
It's a mix. It just depends on what the schedule is like. If it's a webinar and it fits and it's convenient and I don't have to get dressed up to go to
Yeah,
it.
that's so true. So
I think
true.
some of that laziness, quote unquote, from the pandemic is still within me. But I love going to, say, the conferences that PRSA Houston does each year. I've been fortunate to have been a speaker twice now at the conference, and it's just an amazing day. And you learn from everyone, and you connect with people. And so, to me, it's a mixture, and I really and intentional about the in person events that I go to.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And we encourage all of our members to attend as much as you can, because you get to make connections, and you never know when someone's going to have a passion project or something that you are interested in supporting, and having that face-to-face connection sometimes makes it easier. So for sure. So, Anne, before we wrap up, tell me about a passion project you've got on your plate right now.
Absolutely. When I introduced myself, I mentioned that my family is from Vietnam and we were refugees in 1975. And this year is the 50th anniversary of when the war ended. And I have been spending the last few years curating stories from Vietnamese refugees. There are other families like mine. And that's my passion project this year, is making sure that those stories are shared and published. So if anyone is a Vietnamese refugee or has a friend who is, please get in touch with me, because I'd love to share their stories.
Oh, that's so beautiful and so profound. Having been raised in Houston, I can tell you that I think we're probably of the similar generation. So a lot of my classmates were very young, 4, 5, 6 years old, when they
Mhm.
immigrated, and most of them came in 1975, which is, it's not surprising. So I look forward to connecting with you for sure, because I'm going to share some names with you.
Awesome. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. How can people connect with you, Anne?
I am very active on LinkedIn, so find me there. And then I just started an amplified marketing page, business page. For a very long time, it was more just my personal brand, but I have parsed out both my personal brand and the business brand. So personally, you can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. And then please, I would appreciate a follow of the amplified marketing page. It's amplified MKTGTX, because I think there's another amplified marketing out
Oh,
there, but I'm the one in Texas.
yes.
Because I would love to be able to live stream on my page. And thanks to LinkedIn's requirements of having at least 150 people who follow the page, I can't quite live stream there yet.
We're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you, Anne. I promise. That's awesome. We'll make sure that there's a link in the show notes for all of our listeners and viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You bet. All right. That was awesome talking to Ann Nguyen, one of our members here in our Houston chapter of PRSA. Be sure to connect with Ann. If you have any colleagues or friends or family who you think would be a good connection for her, make sure that you contact her and put them in touch. It's so important for us to be supporting our network of members who are working so hard to make sure our chapter is robust and brings lots of value. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of PRSA. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes. And if you are watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, drop us some comments, and I would love to connect. We will catch you on the next episode.